Yesterday, I gave y'all a video about the top 5 classic victories under Saban. So today, here comes the top 5 most heartbreaking losses under Nick Saban. Nobody bats 1,000, and there's going to be some instant classic games where your team loses, and Alabama is no exception. So here today are the top 5 most heartbreaking losses under Coach Saban. Number 5, one that's going to remain in internet infamy as long as Saban is coaching, 2007 UL Monroe. All the losses from 2007 would have been eligible for this list, but I chose the one that's going to live in internet infamy. Alabama just never seemed to get out of the tailspin, really. 14 points in the first half against the Warhawks. No points at all in the second half. UL Monroe scored the game-winning touchdown in the third quarter. Alabama had multiple opportunities in the last 2 minutes of the game to be able to come back and win it, but they kept just shooting themselves in the foot. And that was the story of the game, and a lot of the 2007 season was shooting themselves in the foot. So that's the number 5. The number 4 most heartbreaking loss comes from this past season, 2022, against the Tennessee Volunteers. The story of the game in the first half was just Alabama shooting themselves in the foot and Tennessee repeatedly taking advantage of every mistake. Alabama seemed to get it back together in the second half. In one point, taking a lead in the second half, seeming to seal it off. But Tennessee came back. Alabama kept shooting themselves in the foot. Kicking woes were on display again. And Tennessee hits the dagger at the last second. The field goal to win 52-49. Winning against Bama for the first time since Saban took over. And that was just the most heartbreaking loss of the entire season. We would have won that game. We'd have probably been in the SEC championship, maybe even the playoff, but all the mistakes. Tennessee had a lot of talent that year, and that's a team that if you make mistake after mistake, they're going to punish you. And that's exactly what happened. That was the number 4 most heartbreaking loss under Saban. Number 3, 2021 season's national title game against Georgia. Georgia and Alabama have had some of the all-time classics under Saban, so hats off to Georgia and Alabama for giving us some of the most classic games when they played each other. Georgia, coming into this game, had not been able to defeat Saban since 2007. And they had tried earlier in the season with Georgia having been undefeated going into the SEC title game. Bama having a rather embarrassing loss to Texas A&M that year that it would have put on here, but it really didn't have a lot of implications on the season as it turned out. But yeah, a lot of pundits thought Alabama was going to take care of Georgia yet again. And this felt like the most flat national title game ever. I don't know if that makes sense, but neither team really got it rolling until like the last quarter. Field goals all the way through the third. Alabama takes advantage of a costly interception by Georgia, making it look like they're going to win, but Georgia storms its way back, is winning by 8 minutes going into the last minute. Alabama is looking to make a comeback victory, or at least send it to overtime in that case because they would need it overtime. Bryce Young, who's normally the most clutch quarterback, throws an interception and it's ran all the way back. Georgia gets revenge for the 2017 season's national title game, the 2018 SEC championship game, the 2020 loss in the regular season and the 2021 SEC championship game. And Georgia has not been able to be stopped since. Hopefully, we can see Bama stop them at some point in 2023, but for now, Georgia's on the roll. And that was the third most heartbreaking loss under Saban. Number two, just like the ULM game, is going to be an internet meme as long as Saban is coaching. But in this case, it was to a bigger national audience with much more at stake. I'm talking about the 2013 game against Auburn, aka the Kick Six. Kicking woes for Alabama were on full display for the entire nation to see. Again, I could make an entire video of Alabama's kicking failures and probably will. They're on full display in this game. Alabama, with an opportunity to take the lead, instead of having the game go to overtime, they kick one, it falls a little bit short. That's not the mean part, though. Auburn had a guy in the end zone. It seemed like they outsmarted Saban right there. They had a guy in the end zone named Chris Davis. He takes it from the back of the end zone, runs it all the way back to the touchdown, and Auburn wins. No overtime, no miracle kick from Alabama, just a missed field goal, ran all the way back. That's why it's called the Kick Six, and rightfully so, will live in internet's infamy until Saban is done coaching, possibly even after Saban's done coaching. Auburn would later go on to win the SEC title game and then go to the BCS title game, but lose. Alabama would go to the Sugar Bowl and lose to Oklahoma. Had it gone the other way, we'd have probably seen an instance of Alabama winning the SEC. Who knows what would have happened if they faced Florida State? I would not want to face not Jameis Winston. What's his name? Yeah, it was Jameis Winston, and that dynamic Florida State offense. Maybe Alabama could have pulled it off, but what we have is what we have. The Kick Six, second most heartbreaking victory of all time. Now we get to the number one slot. We have seen Alabama collapse in the last minute, and in some cases, even in the last second of the game before. But there's no more heartbreaking stage for that to happen than the national title game, and that is what happened. The number one most heartbreaking victory under Nick Saban is the 2016 season's national title game against Clemson. The previous year, 2015's national title game, was Alabama versus Clemson. Alabama pulled off a 45-40 victory. The media hyped this game up as the rematch of the century, and it did not fail to live up to that hype. It was an amazing game. Alabama jumps out to a 14-0 victory early in the game. 14-0 lead, I should say. Early in the game. But then from there, they just keep trading punches. Clemson takes a 4-point lead with about 3 minutes in the game. Then Jalen Hurts unleashes the run of possibly the entire season, had it not been for that happens later, to put Bama up by 3. All Alabama needed to do was keep Clemson out of the end zone. Heck, we could have held them to a field goal. We would have still gotten overtime. But Alabama just shot themselves in the foot multiple times, and that Clemson team is going to be one that takes advantage of any time you shoot yourself in the foot, allowing big play after big play. Then in the last few seconds, a costly pass interference penalty by Alabama. Then on the 1 yard line with 1 second left in the game, Alabama allows Hunter Renfrow to get wide open in the end zone, and Deshaun Watson punishes him, throwing right to Hunter Renfrow to get the touchdown at the last second of the game, and Clemson wins it by 4. I'm at a loss for words because that is the most heartbreaking way to lose a game. On the national title stage, rematch of the century implications. And then you collapse right at the last second, costing yourself the title. Easily the most heartbreaking loss under Coach Saban. Let me know if you agree. Maybe you think something else was more heartbreaking, and if that's the case, then I respect that. But I just think a loss at the last second on the national title stage is the most heartbreaking way to lose a game. Alright, so that is my picks for the top 5 most heartbreaking losses under Coach Saban. This is Roll Tide 99. I'm out of here. I'll see y'all later.